Tonight on Friday Night Fright Night, we're heading back to the late 90s for a twisted little thriller called Disturbing Behavior.
High school cliches, creepy experiments, and the suburban nightmare where being too perfect might just kill you.
We'll break down the paranoia, the teen horror vibe, and why this film has a cult following today.
Yes, and grab your leather jackets and crank up that 90s soundtrack. It's time to talk disturbing behavior.
Welcome back to Friday Night Fright Night. I'm GC from Face the Movies.
And I'm Lee from Cinema Whiplash. Tonight, we're diving into disturbing behavior, the 1998 sci fi horror teen thriller directed by David Nutter.
A movie that came in hot on the heels of Scream and the 90s teen horror wave, but carved its own niche with a mix of paranoia, high school drama, and a creepy brainwashing experiments.
Yes, and we'll talk about the impact of the movie, the cult status, and whether it deserves more love in the teen horror canon.
Now, guys, quick spoiler disclaimer. As always, we'll start spoiler free so you can listen even if you're never seen disturbing behavior.
Yeah, and later we'll cross over into spoiler territory, break down the big reveals, the shocking moments, and don't worry, we'll warn you before we do that first.
That's right, man. And guys, thank you for tuning in, for listening. We really appreciate the support. Now, let's get started. We're going to go ahead and give you a quick little film synopsis and start breaking down characters and go from there. Now, when Steve Clark moves into the quiet, well, actually, you know what? Let's do this right. Let me do this right, guys, because I want to make it fun. I want to do a little atmosphere. Let's see if we could let's see if this one's gonna work.
With
No.
background music for the synopsis.
Yeah, there we go. When Steve Clark moves to a quiet new town, he quickly realizes something is off with the local high school. The Blue Ribbon kids are perfect students, too perfect. As Steven and his friends dig deeper, they uncover a sinister program that turns troubled teens into mind controlled drones. The cost of perfection, free will, and maybe their lives.
Nice.
Love that. That's so stupid. I loved it though. I always get excited when I hear those trailers with that guy in a
Oh yeah,
world. But
I miss that guy. I miss him.
yeah, man. But dude, take it away with the main cast characters.
All right. Here's the main cast, the characters, the lineup, and the from the teens, the townsfolk, and the what makes disturbing behavior what it is. We got James Marsden as Steve Clark. He's the new kid in town. You might know him as Cyclops from X-Men. I think that's what he's known for the most, but
Yeah.
he's been in a few other things. We got Katie Holmes as Rachel Wagner, and she's like a rebellious outsider. If you want to believe that Katie Holmes could pull that off, we'll talk about that. You know Katie Holmes from Dawson's Creek, of course. Nick Stahl as Gavin Strick, and he's a conspiracy-minded friend who's seeking the truth. Nick Stahl, well, he's been acting since he was a little kid, but I think Terminator 3 maybe he took over for John Connor.
Yeah.
Then we got Bruce Greenwood as Doctor Catacult. Am I pronouncing that right?
Caldecott. Yeah, Caldecott.
Caldecott. Yeah, he's the sinister mind behind the Blue Ribbon program. This guy always plays the villain in movies.
I
I
swear.
remember him most probably because I saw it not too long ago. He played the husband of Ashley Judd in Double Jeopardy with
Yeah.
I believe Morgan Freeman's in that too. So yeah, he's pretty good. He's pretty good as a villain. And then we got Steve Rallisback as Officer Cox, the corrupt cop. Don't really know this guy from anywhere else. I'm sure he's been in other things. And Catherine Isabel as Lorna Longley, and she's the perfect blue ribbon girl. And she's a very attractive young lady. And I don't know where she's been on either.
Yeah, I was very surprised by the cast, right? Because when you look at who's in this movie, it's it's all the guys, all the girls from the 90s, from the late 90s. Like if they were the it crowd pretty much. And it's funny because they were like the blue ribbon of actors. I mean, you have two cast members on here which one obviously is one of the Blue Ribbon members, and then the other is friends with Gavin Strict, which is Nick Stahl's character, and he has the he's, as Nick likes to call him, the pigmented challenged friend, but
Yeah, that's
he
Chad Danella, which he plays UV.
yeah, UV, and he and the other cast member from Blue Ribbons, they were both in Final Destination movies. So
Yeah,
the actor that plays UV, he was in the first Final Destination, and then the other guy was, I believe,
the blonde dude from part two,
part two, the one that wins the lottery,
the
and
lottery. Yeah.
and gets the freaking ladder through the eye. So it was awesome to see them on here. We also have the actor that was in the movie Forsaken, and he was also in the show Roswell, which I am blanking on his name.
Well, I think the most important for me is William Sadler. He plays the
Yeah,
custodian. He's my favorite in this movie, and he's a great actor. And GC and I definitely uh, had another movie with him on here, Tales from the Crypt Demon Knight, and he's
yeah,
the main actor in that one. So he has his roles a little smaller here, but he has a important role in this movie.
dude. I mean, his role was awesome. We'll get into his like different acting in this one compared to the other movies that we're used to with him. But man,
Yeah,
yeah, this is a star-studded cast. I mean, this was all these young actors coming up. Who was anybody was in this film. I mean, to the point where I was just like, dude, I know that one. I know that one. Even before they really blew up and stuff like that. But alrighty, Lee, let's kick things off. Do you remember the first time you saw disturbing behavior and what stuck with you the most? The teen drama, the sci-fi twist, or the creepy mind control?
yes, I remember this movie watching it as a teen myself when it came out. But I really don't have I usually have a pretty good memories when it comes to movies, especially where I saw them, with who I saw them. But this one kind of slipped my mind a little bit. Definitely don't know who I saw it with, but I'm pretty sure I saw it in theaters. Um, and yeah, for me, what struck me the most was, I don't know, out of those options, I guess the creepy mind control thing. I think there was a time this movie came out in 98, right?
Yeah, 98.
Yeah, yeah, in June of '98. So this was the same year that we got the Faculty, and the Faculty came out in December of '98. But I feel like we got these two movies. You could do a double feature, for sure. Uh, so yeah, it has that little bit of the whole mind control thing, the teen drama for sure. There's some goofy stuff in here for sure that we'll get into later on. But I'll go with the mind control thing. What about you?
Dude, ah man, I think the fact that for one, when I saw this movie, obviously I didn't see it in theaters. I actually saw this movie probably around I want to say 2003 is when I got a hold of it, and which was at the time we had a mutual friend that he was my neighbor, and he was one of the ones that really exposed me to a ton of movies, which this was one of them. So
Yeah.
that's around the time that I saw it, and I ended up owning it on VHS. I think I probably bought it used from Blockbuster or something at the time. But yeah, that's how old we are, guys, renting movies at Blockbuster. But but yeah, man. I mean, I saw it through VHS, and then what stuck to me the most, especially during this rewatch in my late 30s, is the fact that the parents like participated, right? They let all these things happen. I think that's what freaked me out the most because mind control, we're kind of used to it in like a lot of different movies and TV shows and stuff. The teen drama was something that, I mean, it was very on brand for the late 90s, and with especially with the little catchphrases and the you have the traditional bullies, the emo kids and all that. But dude, the parents letting this stuff and participating, I mean, well, to a certain extent. We'll get into it, but yeah, it's just all this is under the nose and people it's kind of obvious what's going on and people just kind of turn a blind eye. So
Yeah.
that's what it was for me.
Yeah, and it's a small town, so you could maybe buy it a little more, but at the same time, being a small town, everyone knows everybody, so
Yeah,
it just makes it
exactly.
easier to know what's going on. It's not like it's a big city like New York or something. So,
Yeah, you couldn't get away
so
with this in New York.
no, no, no way, unless it's like a small town in like upstate or something. But
Yeah.
what was your first impressions for this movie when you first saw it? Since we were talking about that, was it more of a campy teen flick or more like this is an underrated gem? Especially watching it again now as an adult.
Dude, I watching it again, I have to say I felt the same seeing it the first time, loved it, enjoyed it. Um, and I the only difference is that now watching it in like 2025, it made me feel nostalgia because during the time when I saw this, I mean, it was just a few years, past. So I mean, everything was still kind of the same. Especially with seeing all these actors and stuff coming up. But yeah, for me, it definitely hit that nostalgia of the soundtrack, the music, the style. Like it really took me back. And even watching this movie, I felt like I forgot that I was in 2025. Like I was just into it, man. It was just such a blast. There is some campiness to it, but not too much for me. I think the only campiness was some of the catchphrases that some of them had, like the way they talked, and that's what was kind of like cheesy and campy. But back
Razor.
Razor, yeah, when they're like, "Hey, you want to go grab a beer?" Razor.
Yeah,
Um,
Razor. She's so edgy.
yeah, she was so cool, dancing in slow motion on the truck. But yeah, man, that's what it was for me. I mean, back then, yeah, we did used to have cheesy lines and we used to say stupid stuff, but it definitely underrated, man. People need to see this if they haven't, man. I want to go and shout it from the rooftops. But what about you?
Well, for me, this movie is I have to go 50-50 on it. I think it's both. Uh, well, I don't know if it's an underrated gem. I think it's a movie that if you like 90s and if you grew up with this movie like we did, the
Yeah.
nostalgia factor really plays into this one for me. Because I do feel like me and this movie always have this battle of I'm like, when I watch it, I enjoy it because it's a super short movie. We talked this like without the credits, this movie runs an hour and 18 minutes. It's very short. But at the same time, so it's a if it goes by fast, but and because of we'll talk about the problems this movie had, it feels like it's too short and I do feel like there's a lot missing.
Yeah.
And I do feel like, most of the performances are pretty good, but for me, I'll if I had to go from one of those two, I'll definitely go more campy teen flick.
Okay, damn, I wasn't expecting that, man, because especially us coming from the same time, I figured you would have gone more towards the underrated gem, but I don't blame you. I mean, there's moments where it's like, wow, that's campy. Like that's
Oh yeah, and
yeah.
don't get me wrong. I'm the type that it's very rare for me not to love the stuff I loved when I was a teen. Like that
Yeah.
love for it doesn't go away. I'm not saying that the love for this one went away. I kind of always felt the same about this movie.
Yeah.
I've always liked it, but I never loved it. And but there's other movies out there that I'll die on the hill for. This one might not be one of them, but I do enjoy it. So
Dude, it was a blast revisiting, man. I'm so glad that we picked this one. It's it was fantastic. It really is a gem for me. And dude, I want to ask you because I, in this day and age, movies, I feel like they're being labeled things that they're not, right? We were talking about that regarding to weapons and a few others.
yeah.
Does this movie succeed more as a horror, sci-fi, or social satire for you?
Mm, wow. Yeah, it has more of the latter too. It's not much horror for me. If you really think about it, this movie, well, take away that final scene, there's not that many deaths and stuff. It's not. I always thought like I've seen this movie a bunch of times. For those that do watch and don't listen, I got the Blu-ray here, and I was like, oh yeah, this is rated R. I always forget because it feels like such a PG-13 movie to me. Like, and then there's like, but there's a scene where there's nudity a little bit, and they do start cursing a little bit more in the latter half of the movie. So I'm like, oh yeah, this is rated R, but it just doesn't feel like a horror movie. It feels like it feels like a sci-fi thriller, sci-fi teen thriller, um, a little bit of social satire. But I, I mean, I still put it in my horror category where I put my movies away, it has the vibes, but it's more science
Yeah.
fiction thriller to me.
Man, I felt
What about
like
you?
I agree with you as far as for horror, there really wasn't a horror element. Like I never felt scared or anything like that from watching it as like a 16, 17-year-old to watching as a 38-year-old. There was never a
Mm,
time that I felt there was horror. As far as for sci-fi, I felt like there wasn't really a sci-fi element to it. The mind control thing, it's a very I mean, it was very medical. the way they explained it. I mean, the only sci-fi thing is you have that cheesy effect with the eye turning red, but that's it.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like they weren't using any crazy like machines or anything. Like even during that procedure they show it almost seemed like you were going to the eye doctor type thing. Now social satire, definitely for me it was social satire. I think this was more of a thriller with social satire because everything they touched on, if you look at it now, especially with like 2025 eyes, you you see a lot of what like society is, and it still is today. um and they touch a lot on us on a ton of sensitive subjects between what happens to his brother, the kind of the outcast kids with trench coats, and they're carrying guns. So for some reason they're both carrying guns at certain points. I mean, it touches on a lot of stuff in society. So it's definitely one of those. Touches on assault, on physical assault and stuff like that. It touches on what you could get away with when you have the right money, when you have the right social status, and it's that's what it was for me.
Yeah, and like kind of like the typical high school movie where there's always that scene, and I've seen movies do it better, but like where he's like, okay, you see that table over there? That's where the stoners are. This is
Yeah.
where the goths are, and this is where the blue ribbons are, and it does touch upon the separation that there is in high school for sure. And I do want to mention that this movie, even though it has very little tiny piece of nudity and not too much, like this is one of those movies for people that are parents out there. If you want to start getting your kids into horror, even though it's not a hardcore horror movie, that's why, like, you could start with like the kiddie ones, the PG like Ghostbusters and Beetlejuice, and when you want to work your way up to showing them stuff like this, could be one of like a starter horror pick for kids too,
Yeah,
or like 12, 13.
it
They
felt
could watch it.
like, this movie is so, like you said, PG, that, it felt like it was one of it like, it sucks that this final version, it's cut the way it is because it looks like it was toned down for television.
Yeah.
And like you said, I mean, even that the specific brief, barely nude scene, they could have easily blurred that out somehow, just because it happened so quickly that it's crazy how they cut this. But dude, I wanted to ask you, man, because obviously there's a lot of depth behind this movie, and I mean, there's a reason it has the cult following that it does. How does this film reflect the 90s teen anxiety about conformity and rebellion? Because we did grow up, we're 90s kids.
Yeah.
How did that reflect in your eyes?
How did it capture it?
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, it captured it pretty well. I mean, I think damn dude, I'm sorry. My throat's super dry.
Don't you die on me. Not until we finish this
I'm gonna
episode.
have to edit this part out.
No, this guy,
Sorry.
he's fine, guys.
He's dying. You know what it is? They got me. The blue ribbons got me. I might not come back the same way.
There we go. And the camera
uh,
goes dark, and then you're just sitting there with like your hair combed over or something.
oh man. All right. So yeah, I think it captures the rebellion stuff pretty well. I mean, it also has this thing about the kids going through their hormones, right? There's a thing with the doctor. He puts this, like, whatever he does, chip in your head or whatever, and he he basically it's what's causing these kids to come out with this rage and make them violent is their hormones. When they get, basically when they get horny, they get super violent, and they'll do something crazy like beat someone up or something over a comment, and then like it's almost like they'll fall or get hit, and then they like snap out of it, and they're like, what did I do? Like, they don't even know. So I think it's trying to capture a lot of that stuff that you go through in, as a kid. Obviously it's exaggerating it, it's dramatizing it, but it's a lot has to do with, with getting older, with puberty, with the changes that your body goes through. So I think it really actually captures that pretty well, when it comes to that. As far as some of the rebellion, some of it I think worked, some of it didn't. And I think when we talk about the characters more amongst themselves, I can say which ones were more believable than others. But for sure, I think that it does capture the anxieties of being a teenager and all that stuff pretty well.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, man. I mean, this movie, it definitely it captured the different clicks that you have when you're like in high school and stuff, especially during that time. I don't know how it is now, obviously, but um I could imagine it is a lot more different just because of the society that we live in now, where it's a lot more positive. Like it's like anti-bullying and all that. Not like people were pro-bullying back in the day, but I think that growing up in the 90s, you have a bit of thicker skin, and it was
Yeah.
just kind of one of those like let boys be boys type situation. But to me, it definitely captured it pretty well in the sense of especially the rebellion part where you see these kids kind of just seeing the jocks and seeing these kids doing well and studying and all that, and then these kids are like, I don't want to be a part of that. Like I don't want to be a sheep, and I want to do my own thing. um I think it also captures the especially the anxiety because, like I said, it does touch on the subject on Martin's character, where in the film his brother passes away, and he passes away in a way where he takes his own
Mhm.
life, and
Yeah.
it shows the anxiety, it shows the PTSD type situation, the nightmares, um, him seeing certain things that trigger memories, and it really captures it pretty well. Of like, if you were to experience something like that, what would happen afterwards? What are the repercussions mentally and psychologically and all that? So that's something that they did pretty well. I'm wondering either they have really fantastic writers for this type of subject, or if maybe somebody, the director or one of the writers, experienced something like this because they captured it like to the T. Um, but yeah, I mean that's one of the things with the anxiety, and I think too they captured it with the rebellion when we have, and I'm trying to remember, I'm trying to look here his name. One second, guys. So we have
You thinking about Gavin? Nick Stahl?
no, not Nick Stahl. He was in Demonite. I can't believe I'm spacing out his name.
Oh, William Sadler's character.
Yeah, William Sadler, yeah, when he plays the like the supposedly like the dumb janitor, but then you get that to that point in the film where he's actually talking to Martin's character, and he's telling him, he's like, oh, have you read this such and such? And he just stares at him, and then he's like, he throws out like the cigarette or toothpick that he has, and he kind of just straightens up a little bit and talks to him differently, and he's like, don't you ever just want to disappear? And you see that rebellion where he wanted to be his own person. He just wanted to be left alone. He didn't want to conform to what like the other parents and the other people in the town were doing. He just wanted to do his own thing and just not be bothered. So I think that was kind of his way of being rebellious to what what life was becoming like. As the years progressed and all that, he just thought he didn't want to be a part of it. So they
Yeah,
captured
he.
it.
Mhm.
Oh, no, I was gonna say they captured it very well. Between the 17-year-old high school students all the way to a grown man rebelling. So they showed you different age gaps, but all of them kind of fighting their own demons when it came to anxiety and all that stuff.
Yeah, William Sandler just playing this, like, to piggyback off what you said, just playing this janitor that just he sees what's going on. He's like the only one that sees what's going
Yeah.
on in this town, this crazy stuff, and he knows that if they think that you're mentally ill or whatever, or you're just not all there, that they're gonna leave you alone. They're not gonna pay attention to you. You're a ghost to people when you have these problems, or if you're like homeless or something. Like, people don't pay attention to you. And he's just there, like, making himself being like this guy that kills rats, and he has this machine called the Eradicator,
Eradicator,
and
yeah.
that makes out this sound to get rats, and that plays into the plot a lot, and we'll get into that too. But yeah, no, I agree with that.
Yeah, it's funny, the Eradicator. That thing looked like one of those old school 90s boom boxes. But I remember when he
Yeah, it
first
does.
pulls it out, and I'm thinking, dude, does what is he doing in like in a tunnel with like a boom box? He's just jamming out down there to like 9 Inch Nails or something.
Yeah, just
But
put a red light on it. Yeah, this is the Eradicator.
yeah. But yeah, it's I mean, yeah, man, he does such a fantastic job portraying that character. I mean, a character that really stuck out. It was kind of the Quasimodo in the film, but yeah, he did fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you want to talk about the performances?
Yeah,
You
since
got
we're
Matt. Mhm.
no, no, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say with the main performances, but I think everybody as an ensemble. Do you think it elevated the material?
Dude, absolutely. I think they all played their part pretty well. I think Stahl's character was just hilarious, and he was very satire because like you mentioned earlier in that scene where he's talking to Marston's character and he's telling him about like the different cliques in the
Yeah.
cafeteria. it was very funny the way he described them because you could tell it was meant to be a satire during that scene. At least for me, that's what I interpreted. Just because of how obvious it was, because the way he described them and their lives and everything, he described them as like literally characters from a movie. So I think he stuck out pretty well. He did a great job. I know when the switch flips and he becomes a different, like freaking mind controlled drone, he did really good with that intensity. Like there was, I haven't seen him in a role like that, and the way he interacts with Marston during a certain scene where he gets in a fight and he just helps him up, and then he just looks at him. He has that coldness in the eyes. I think he
Yeah.
did great. I think Katie Holmes did fantastic. I've never been the biggest Katie Holmes fan, but I think with this one, she did pretty good. Like she had a lot of sadness in the eyes, and it's just I don't know. She said a lot without having to say too many words to me. And Marsden just crushed it to me. I mean, those moments where he was having those nightmares and that flashbacks about his brother, he really he really shined with this one.
Yeah. Yeah, I think to me he was the lead and he played it well and he did the best. You know, he has to play this a teenager that's moved into this new town which is it's called Cradle Bay, and it's basically you can only get there through a ferry. So it's one of
Yeah.
those towns that's separate from the main city. So it's very small. And he has to, his brother, which the flashbacks were played by Ethan Embry, his brother. I don't know, most of you might know him from maybe Can't Hardly Wait or I think Empire Records.
Yep,
But
Empire Records.
yeah, so he's going through a lot. I think he really put it out there. I thought he was kind of funny and monotone. I liked EV or UV, whatever. I know kid UV. I liked him a lot. I thought Katie Holmes. I did like her in it, but I didn't buy her as a rebellious, and just the girl that lives in the trailer, and she's I don't know. I just didn't buy it too much. Maybe it's because of Dawson's Creek, or she's
Yeah.
just not known for too much. Um, but I do think in the latter half of the movie, the second half, uh once she takes off the leather, I don't know, maybe it's the leather jacket doesn't work for me for her, but then she starts to look more like herself, but the nose piercing works without it, and I thought she got better. And Nick Stahl just was the thing that killed me about him was the hair extensions. You could for me, I could see it from a mile away. There
Yeah.
would be scenes in the dark where the back part would just come out because his hair, he had it like in the second half of the movie where he joins the Blue Ribbons. It's shorter hair, and you could tell they just had that and they just added extensions to give him like a mullet. And I thought it looked that was it was looked pretty bad, but it was kind of funny for his character. And but he was like the one, like that scene at the towards the end, well in the middle where before he switches, that it also talking about the capturing these things with the teens is going through a lot of stuff. And he just gets he has a gun, and he tells um James, he tells Steve, he's like, oh, I'm gonna off them all, I'm gonna kill them all. And but that scene, without thinking about what's going on, it's just like it clicks on him, and he's like, oh, he fights him, he takes the gun from him. He's like, this is crazy. You're like, you're taking it to the extreme. And but in reality for the movie, he's really just trying not to become a blue ribbon and become a robot to all these people. So yeah, overall plot wise performance, I thought everyone was pretty good.
Yeah, that scene, man, was very powerful. I thought it was very interesting the way they delivered it. Obviously, I don't recall. I'm trying to check now. I mean, I know that when it came to like, and obviously, guys, this is if you're listening, this is going to be a sensitive subject I'm going to bring up. So just bear with us, but it does play into the film, sort of. Um,
If you're thinking about Columbine was in '99. This movie came out in '98, so it's
Yeah,
before.
so after Columbine and throughout the years, we've had these type of like mass shootings in school and stuff like that. But it's interesting because in this film, him and UV, right, Nick Stahl's character, and then his friend UV in the movie, he they're wearing like the trench coats. They're very, separated from everybody else. They both have a gun. Obviously always together, having each other's back. But that scene where Nick Stahl is talking is talking to James Marsden's character, and he's telling him, he's like, "Oh, I won't let them do that. Like if I get there and they're there, like I'm gonna kill them all, even if
Yeah.
it's my parents too." And you just kind of see that where it's almost like a mirror from society, right? Obviously, for his reasoning, it was different. He didn't want to become like some drone. He was trying to just save his own life. But if you look at the context, right? Like if you change the narrative of this movie and you take away the whole mind control stuff, this movie could easily be like one of those like school shooting type films. Like what caused this character to get to that point? Because if you
Right,
think about,
he's an outcast. He even has a picture that he used to hang out with all these guys, and they all turned into blue ribbons. But if you take, like you said, you take that away, and as all these friends just move on without him, and he feels lonely. He has no friends.
yeah,
He's being bullied. You can kind of like that's what I said like in the beginning. Like if you take that away, it becomes a whole other thing. It becomes more of a drama.
yeah,
But because we have that, then it changes it a little bit. It doesn't get over dramatic and stuff. And it's like, okay, you're actually on his side because Steve doesn't understand the fact that this is really happening, and you're
yeah,
like he just wants to
exactly.
protect himself from these people that are gonna mind control him and stuff like that.
Yeah, and Marsden's character too. I think one of the things too is that not only did he not believe him yet, but him, suffering from losing his brother to the same thing, to again, sensitive subject, but him taking his own life, um, especially in the way that he did. Obviously, when we talk more about deleted scenes and stuff like that, we find out more of how he did it. But it was pretty much the same thing where he was like unraveling, and then he just takes his own life. And then him seeing obviously Nick Stahl's character going through that, where it's like it's raining, it's dark, he's like unhinged, and he's just saying all these crazy things and pulls out a gun, especially as a 17-year-old kid. And he's like, I need to stop this. And unfortunately, we know what happened next to poor Nick Stahl's character. But yeah, overall, I know we went on a little bit of a tangent there, but I mean, their acting was fantastic. And besides the extension, the hair extensions and all that, I do want to give it to
Yeah,
Bruce Greenwood. He always plays such a good bad guy, and that dude is so damn smooth, man. Like the way he
yeah,
talks and everything, he was so convincing. Um, all the way to the bitter end, like you see that real darker side come out. But you could tell with him from the very beginning, when no matter how polite he is, no matter how he talks with that little honey towards you, like there's something going on. You see it in the eyes, you see it in the smirk, and he crushed it, man. He always delivers.
yeah. He does.
But I think UV, the actor that plays UV, was funny. The way he talks sometimes, it's almost like his accent changed. Like he was, there was a point in towards the end of the film where he almost sounded a little. He said something and it sounded kind of Jamaican, and I was like, you have this dude from, I'm trying to think of the movies with, the no, the damn it, what's his name? Tom Hanks, where with the demons, angels and demons.
Oh,
Remember the one
uh-huh.
movie we have the albino guy?
Right. Da Vinci Code, I think
The Da
is
Vinci Code, there we go. Well,
yeah.
he reminded me of him. Like, for some reason, when I see this kid in the movie, I'm like, "Damn, did they really have to go that route?" I'm wondering what kinda happened there with that decision.
We knew what he grew up to be.
Yeah, so there we go, yeah. A few
Hitting
years
himself in the
later,
back and stuff.
giving himself lashes.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah, I felt like that's the only thing that was kinda cheesy for me that kinda stuck out, but it was kinda cool 'cause how often do you see, like, someone in, like, I guess it's the proper term saying, like, albino? um,
Yeah, I
in the
think so.
albino community to be portrayed in a movie. I can't think of another movie besides the Da Vinci Code and this one that I've seen someone. So
Yeah, and they're both not really albino in real life. They're just
they're
white
not,
guys,
yeah.
but
Yeah, it's just like a Tropic Thunder with Robert Downey, but the opposite.
uh, or the movie Powder, if you want to go deep. I don't know if you ever saw it.
Oh, a long time ago, dude. A long time ago. I got to rewatch it. It's been
Yeah.
too long. But
Yeah.
dude,
So
no,
I
go ahead. Go
mean,
ahead.
talking about these '90s classics, how do you feel that this movie compares to like the other '90s teen horror movies, like I mentioned, The Faculty or Scream, or the movies that were coming out at that time?
I think it's pretty on brand as far as for the grunge effect. I mean, this movie with the soundtrack alone, it has such good music, man. We have some hits, and a lot of these songs, I think two of them in particular, you hear. I believe one of them was probably in The Faculty, if I'm not mistaken, and it's just
Was
I
it
think
Flagpole Sita? Was that one in the faculty? The paranoia one?
I'm wondering if it was, man. You know
I
what? Let
can't
me
remember.
Yeah, because it sounded I know there was a ton of teen movies with that song played, and I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
this might have been the first one. If I'm not mistaken, I think Disturbing Behavior is one of the ones that played it, and then you start seeing them all really incorporating the shit out of it. But I think it held its own pretty well. I honestly wish that this movie was longer. To me, that's how good it is. That's how much I enjoyed it, that I wish there was more. And I love it, man. It's up there for me next to The Faculty. I think Scream, it's its own genre. I think that Disturbing Behavior, The Faculty do their own. They're in the same niche, but I think Scream is just something else for me. Obviously, it's still in the
Yeah.
90s, but
Yeah, Scream's
definitely
a
something.
slasher.
Yeah,
This one and the faculty are not slashers.
yeah. The
So
Faculty is
that
more
separates
sci-fi.
them.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. That for me, I mean, if you told me to rate them, I would, Scream and the faculty I like better. Uh I watch those more. Even though I've seen this movie a good bit. I bought this Blu-ray about 2 years ago. So I saw it about 2 years ago and I watched it again yesterday. But um I mean it's still not a bad movie. I just, if I was to put it up there with all the teen horror movies from the 90s, let's say we do a top 20, it'll
yeah,
make it in there, but it's probably going to be in the lower half. But it'll still make there. And like you said, yeah, the movie is just so short. It's not like, I mean, even if you don't like it, there's just so much more that could have been done. The movie is pretty choppy. It's not like last week we did Event Horizon. It's another movie that was edited to death, right? And but that
yeah,
movie, even with the running time of 95 minutes, it works a lot better. Like I'm okay that there isn't the longer version. I want to see it, but like this one needs it. This one's 83
yeah,
minutes with credits. Without credits, an hour and 18 minutes. It's super short, and there's the footage for this one is there. Unlike Event Horizon, that they need to find it and it's messed up. They have the footage for this movie, um, which will lead to like us talking about. I don't know if you want to get into how this movie was recut. This David Nutter's first movie as a director. He's known for directing TV. This guy's done like episodes of Sopranos, Game of Thrones. Back in the day, Smallville. So he finally did this movie, and the studio just cut it to death. So the original cut of this movie was supposed to be, I believe, 115 minutes, so almost 2 hours.
yeah,
And GC and I both have the same Blu-ray, and the Blu-ray comes with, I watched it, 22 minutes of deleted scenes. So that's basically all the extra cut it's in there. And there's scenes in there that really dive more deeper into these characters that could have added more to the movie. Now I
yeah.
don't think every deleted scene should have been in there, but I do think there's a good 3 minute one with William Sadler, that
That
he's
was a good
talking
one.
about the town's background, right?
Yeah,
And they talk about how there was a car crash there that killed somebody important in the town. These kids drinking and driving, and that's what led for them to bring in the doctor to do this to these kids, and that's very important stuff, and that's nowhere in the movie. I was like, this is the most important deleted scene in my opinion. There's a few other ones. There's a sex scene with Rachel and Steve that it's okay that it's cut because it's a pointless sex scene. They don't, there's nothing to be shown. It's just them kissing for like 3 minutes. So I understand why they cut that, but I do think that we can have at least a 95-minute to 97-minute cut of this and have more information.
yeah.
And I'll let you get into the one that Steve talks about that we were talking about earlier, since you mentioned it. If you want to talk about that deleted scene that he talks about in the boat.
Oh yeah. Well, I do want to say, for anybody listening too, if you haven't seen the movie or anything, the two characters we're talking about is James Marsden's character and Katie Holmes. They're the ones from the deleted scene where they hook up. They actually show them hooking up and stuff like that. But dude, before we move on to that, because there was something I wanted to touch a little bit more as far as for like comparing it to the '90s teen horrors stuff. Because I
Okay.
wanted to ask you, I know the faculty came out the same year. Do you feel that the faculty overshadowed disturbing behavior because of the type of subject having to do with aliens and stuff? I know during the time you have movies like Independence Day, you have a lot of alien movies coming out, and also the fact that the leads like Josh Hartnett compared to James Marsden. Do you think, and obviously Josh Hartnett at the time being like very big, like he started to be in a ton of movies. I mean, girls absolutely loved them. Do you think that's why, like, if for example, if Disturbing Behavior would have came out a lot sooner than The Faculty, it would have had more success? Or do you think The Faculty, like, overshadowed it?
Well, most likely, I think a little bit more no, and I'll say because they came out 6 months apart, but Disturbing Behavior came out first, so
Yeah,
it had 6 months to do what it was going to do at the box office, and it had six, and then in those 6 months, by the time this one reached video, the other one was coming out in theaters. So I don't think it really had too much to do with that, at least at the beginning. Yeah, Josh Hartnett, you're right. But there wasn't that much time because look, all these movies we had a good period. 98 was a good year for movies.
yeah,
Um, and especially if you're a fan of I know horror is known for people saying the 90s wasn't that good, but I think there's a lot of good stuff. So Halloween H2O comes out in August for some reason. And
yeah,
then a few months later, the faculty comes out. So yeah, people saw Josh Hartnett in his debut in H2O and they liked him. And I think that also drew a little bit. I think you have a better quality director as far as for movies in the faculty.
yeah,
Um, and I do think overall, except for maybe Usher, it has a better cast. And I like James Marsden a lot. I think he's the standout here. Nick Stahl didn't really go on to do too much, and Katie Holmes kind of like on because she wanted to kind of put herself away from Hollywood for a bit. But so I don't think the faculty really. I think now it overshadows them more because they're people talk about them in the same vein. And I think if you tell someone, oh, someone says, which one should I watch? Which one would you recommend? I think the faculty is going to be recommended a lot more than disturbing behavior.
yeah. No, I agree with you. That's true. I mean, it is a few months difference. But now let me ask you this. Um, Cast aside, because obviously I feel like Disturbing Behavior, the cast that they had was a lot more loaded, and not picking on the faculty, but because I love the faculty, but just saying, like, I think they had a lot more actors. I know at the time they weren't maybe name brands in people's households, but they were up and coming compared to the faculty. But do you think that if they would have cut this film differently, it would have stood a chance against the faculty? Like if they would have really not shortened it as much as it did, had some more kind of disturbing scenes in it and stuff like that. Because obviously the music was there, and I think
Yeah.
the editing was good. But do you think it would have stood a chance being a little bit longer?
Yeah, I think it would have stood out a little bit more of being its own thing as far as I think
Yeah,
it would have if you add a lot of these deleted scenes, I think what a lot of these deleted scenes bring is more drama than anything else. There really isn't anything that was cut. It's like because oh, we don't want to get an R rating because the movie was rated R anyways. As far as the cast though, I gotta say I think it's kind of 50-50. In my opinion, I kind of give it to the faculty because you got Elijah Wood, which I know in a few years after that really blew up with Lord of the Rings.
yeah,
Jordana Brewster went on to blow up with The Fast and the Furious, and then you have a couple of other characters in there. I know Usher was he's a singer, R&B singer that's very popular. Um, but outside of because yeah, outside of James Marsden, I don't think I can't think of well, I can't leave out William Sadler. That is
yeah,
the MVP. So I think it's 50-50 with the cast. But I think yeah, I think if they would have added those deleted scenes, I think the movie would have held up itself more as a drama thriller than anything. But I think overall, in just being a fun movie, I think the faculty will still win.
yeah. Well, no,
What
yeah.
about
I
for you?
mean,
You think otherwise?
I think so too. I think, well, it's hard because after seeing the deleted scenes, I could see what they could have done with this movie. This movie easily with the deleted scenes, they could have done a sequel with it. Um, Obviously without the alternative ending, right? Without the alternate ending and adding the deleted scenes, it could have had a sequel and it could have probably been even more of a name brand. Done right, obviously, because
Yeah.
in the ending of this film, obviously Nick Stahl's character is the only one that survives, and you see him kind of just show up in this school and he's a teacher and you're like, oh shit, like he's alive. But if you look into it a lot more, right, you look at the deleted scenes, there's a scene where Gabin's character, he's doing the procedure and there's these shadowy people watching and he's talking to them, right? But you never see what they look like, but you clearly tell that they're wearing black suits, right? So it comes to me, what I'm thinking is it's government, right? It was kind of like a a little subliminal thing letting you know, okay, shadowy figures literally in the shadows. They're allowing and investing in this type of mind control stuff, and you never see their faces and all that, and you could tell that he's not like he is scared of them in a way, the way he talks to them and stuff. So to
Yeah,
me, I felt like if they would have left that, that would have been kind of cool, because that means that if they would have done a sequel, that there's something bigger at play than just Gavin. Obviously, especially all that staff. Like, how are they hiding this secret? All the staff that they had at this hospital performing this. I mean, the money to be able to get this type of equipment during the time. Um, and then obviously the ending again with Nick Stahl surviving. So, and being a lot more intelligent and already knowing what was going on. I mean, easily they could have done something where they get a hold of him. I mean, it looks like they probably set him up. Obviously becoming a student teacher. It's like it
yeah.
look like, where does he get the money? Like what like is he doing bake sales or something? No, like there's something more that they could have done. Um, I think Sadler's character as well. During the deleted scene where they show him talking to Marston's character, and he opens this little cupboard and he starts drinking and he's talking about how the town used to be and stuff like that. I feel like they could have gone a little bit deeper with his character, because to me, when he did actually be himself, when his character was being himself in the film, he looked very like distraught. He looked very sad. And then especially hearing the story in the deleted scene of what happened to the town where these drunk drivers, pretty much there were six casualties. I'm wondering if Sadler's character, I mean, like his wife and kid passed away during when they're talking about what happened, or maybe if one of his kids was the drunk driver that passed away, and that's why he's like drinking and he just decides to seclude himself, and he just kind of tries to disappear. I feel like they could have played a little bit more on that with his character and made the movie um, a little bit more dramatic, a little bit more tense. And as far as for the love scene with Katie Holmes and Marston's character, I'm kind of glad they cut that one out, because I kind of
Yeah.
hate sometimes when they overdo it with that stuff. Like we could use our imaginations. You guys don't have to play out the whole scene.
Yeah, and
Especially
it was just not well shot love scene. It was very
yeah.
like the same. I don't know. I didn't like it. I was like, okay, I see why they cut this, and they don't need to put that back in there. It doesn't add
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah, and especially Chris Marsden. I mean, James Marsden's character. He's a big dude. Like he's a decent sized dude, and that truck. I mean, it's a pretty small cabin, right? It's just one seat. So to believe that they were actually comfortably in there doing it and stuff, all romantic like, it just didn't sell it for me. So that one I am glad they held off. But was there a deleted scene for you that stuck out that could have made this movie a little better to possibly compete at all or stand a chance with the faculty or any other of those 90s
well,
movies?
well, like I mentioned earlier, before we got into them, I did mention the one with William Sanders' character that you just
Yeah.
mentioned. Also, I mean, I think we both agree on that one. That one should have been in there. I will say that I also would. You mentioned a little bit of this one earlier in the podcast, but so there's a scene in the boat where Steve is talking about his brother, and is this the thing that happens to him that he offs himself. I don't know if you can say the word in
Oh,
on
you could say
podcast
take
or not.
you could say take his own life. I think that one won't
Yeah.
get flagged.
So he takes his own life, but I actually like the way they left it in the movie
Yeah.
because I feel like the one in the deleted scene becomes I understand that we're dealing with real life subjects that are really very serious, but at the same time I kind of felt like they made it very Romeo and Juliet. It's
Yeah.
super Romeo and Juliet. He's like, oh, he takes his life, and then when she comes into the park and sees his body there, she grabs the gun and she takes her. Like I just felt like it was like this isn't adding too much to it. I think with just having the story of him being a depressed guy that was going through things and he did that was actually stronger. So I wouldn't even want to add that deleted scene, and,
Yeah.
and that one goes for a little bit. That's why I was saying that I think the movie would work as a 95 to 100-minute movie. I don't think you need to add all the deleted scenes, but some of them worked and some of them didn't. My favorite one was the one with William Sandler, but the rest I can't remember now if there was another one that I think was vital uh,
Um
to the
not
movie.
Not really. I think when the cop picks up Marsden's character, that when he's explaining what happened, I feel like that one didn't need to be. I think they did good cutting that one because I think Sadler explaining it serves a lot more to dramatic effect. Just the way he delivers it, and as he's drinking and stuff, as he's saying it, he looks more distraught. I think that one sold it a lot more than the sheriff. Another
There's
one,
also the one with his father where he goes to talk to his father. His father's drinking on the backyard,
and he throws the
and
glass.
he throws the glass. It does. I mean, it gives a little bit more of his relationship with his dad, but not enough for it to add. I think there's a scene where he's walking with his sister back from school.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
I know what.
that one was short, and I think it gave a little bit more time with his sister, and I think that could have been kept in. I like that one. It was only like
Yeah,
40 seconds. It's like
yeah,
quick.
it explained the joke too, because I know when they show that
Hmm.
scene and he tells her, I forgot what the line was, but it's just like a little joke, and you don't you there's no real context to why it's there. But then once you saw the deleted scene, it makes like that one. I feel like they could have left that deleted scene. I
Yeah.
loved the one with the dad because you don't get enough father and I mean, well, son and parents time at all, especially
No.
moving to the new town, going through what they went through a year prior. But I thought that it was good, except when the dad throws like the whiskey glass. I thought that I understand now why they cut that scene. I think it's because of that. It didn't make sense because he's just throwing the glass and littering, you know. But it also did show it made it real, man. I feel like it really grounded it because obviously, as a parent, as a brother, um, going through something like that, you losing your kid or losing your sibling, it showed that the parents, it showed especially the dad. The dad wasn't over it. He was still hurting. He wasn't too happy there yet. Like he moved there for his kids, but one thing I do want to touch on in that scene that kind of made me question the motives to moving there, particularly of all the places they could have moved. Um, we find out during the parts of the movie where Gabin's character, um, wait, no, I'm sorry, not Gavin. What was his name here? Sorry, guys, just checking 1 second here. Bruce Greenwood's character, which is Doctor Caldecott. So Greenwood's character, he talks about just moving around to different towns and doing the same thing that he's doing now, right? Where he's implanting these chips, hypnotizing these kids and controlling them.
Yeah.
So we know that he's done this already before. We don't know his history of how long he's been doing that because all of a sudden he showed into town doing this. Again, this plays into my conspiracy theory that he was working for the government and they were doing like MK Ultra type stuff on these kids. But that scene with the father, right, with Marsden's dad, the deleted scene, he mentioned something where he says he's like, I moved you guys here to make things better," and like pretty much saying he'll do whatever it takes. But the way he said it when he looks at him was a little bit ominous to me. It almost felt like he was kind of like knew what was going on, and he knew to move there in particular to protect his son by doing this experiment on him or whatever. I'm sure he didn't know the lengths of it, but he did know what was going on because even when he says that and looks at him, and he's obviously heavily drinking, you could tell he has a heavy buzz there. Um, I wonder if he was like he felt kind of guilt for moving his family there and doing what was going to happen to his son that was done to the other kids, and that's why he's like heavily drinking, and he just kind of throws that glass in a way of saying, "I don't like." He's already given up. Like he doesn't even care. He just throws it. He's like, I just want to do
Mhm.
things right. But what do you think, man? Do you think it's kind of a bit of a stretch, or do you
I
think they're
mean,
kind of
I think it's interesting that you got that from it. Actually, I didn't think about that. I basically thought that this is a man grieving for his son that passed away, and he
yeah,
moved his family to a new town from Chicago, and he's just trying to get by. He's brought him to a new place because I'm sure everything in Chicago reminds him of his son,
yeah,
and he just wanted to start over somewhere else. But that could work as a good theory for sure. I mean, why not? I mean, unfortunately, we won't know because they cut it from the movie anyway. So it kind of
yeah,
feels like, even if there was something there, they decided not to go with it. But no, it's always good to have theories and to look at things in a different way and grab different things from it. And yeah, I mean, it could be that he didn't know it was gonna be, basically them becoming zombies, but they was gonna help him, cope with his brother's passing and kind of just focus on his studies and have a new group of friends and stuff like that. So I could kind of see how he would kind of maybe want his son to be part of it, and maybe later on
Yeah.
his daughter too.
Dude, that's it's funny. That's my style, man. Like I sometimes I think I look a little too deep into the movies, like certain stuff like that. But I just wonder, man, because I think about like what could have been with the movie. What like if I love a movie, I usually don't think too much like that. But when I do really like it and I wish there was a little bit more is when I start kind of dissecting it, trying to see is like, man, what could have they done to make it even better, make it more successful? One thing I do want to ask you, man, what'd you think about the alternate ending? Like how did you feel about that one?
So in the alternate ending, we have Nick Stahl's character of Gavin. He goes and he's in the basically on the ferry when these characters of UV and Steve and Rachel are leaving, and he has a shotgun and he basically comes in and he tries to shoot Steve, and UV comes out with the gun and shoots him and basically kills him. And he's like, there was a funny moment where he goes, "Did you have to shoot me 3 times, man?" He was like, "Sorry, man." I thought
I
that was
love
pretty
that.
funny.
I think they did that to, like, show that he was back, that he, like,
Right.
snapped out of it or whatever, but dude, that was hilarious, man. I loved it. I was like, "Okay, he's back to normal." Like, his sense
Yeah, I
of
mean,
humor.
it worked. I mean, I don't know, I think that studios also have that thing where they're like, "Oh, there was especially a time for that." They still do it to this day where, you wanna leave it open for a sequel. So they probably shot that and they said, "Well, if we kill him off, there's nobody left." Because as we know, and this is another thing, I don't know if you wanna touch on, do you wanna hold off on the final ending, and we'll just talk about this deleted scene? Or do you wanna talk about the ending of also kinda compare it to the actual ending?
No, let's do it, man. Let's
Okay.
compare it.
Because I do think that the ending's very ridiculous either way. You
Yeah,
you have this guy from out of nowhere, the janitor. He had one eradicator, and then all of a sudden, I don't know where he got like
like 100 of
20 of
them.
these.
Yeah.
He puts them in the back of his truck, and he turns them all on with makes this noise that bothers all these kids with these things in their brain, and they all follow him until he goes off a cliff, and they just all fall down with him. I thought that was funny. It's like how did he get all these? Like, I understand him having one, maybe two, but all of a sudden he has like 20 of
Yeah.
them.
And
I thought that, so the ending wasn't that great
yeah.
anyways, and then leaving it open, but I didn't mind the little leaving it open with him being like a teacher, a dangerous mind, Michelle Pfeiffer, all of a sudden,
Yeah.
student teacher in a bad neighborhood type of school. But so I do kind of like the the other ending a little bit better, but I think it wouldn't take away from this guy killing all these people with the eradicators anyways, because that's after, so that would have happened anyways. But I think I like the boat thing, and it's a little sad that his best friend, his best bud UV, is the one that has to kill him. So that does give it a little bit more of a little bit of a touching moment there. So I liked it a little better. You think they should have kept it, or you're good with what they got?
I like the way, um, I'm glad that they didn't keep that ending just because, I mean, that ending does give you closure, and I thought Nick Stahl's character, I mean, him being a smartass the way he was to the very end was, like, awesome. I think that suited him well, made him likable right away, very charming. And it was just funny. I always had a laugh anytime he said something. I was like, "This guy's an idiot." I think he had fun with the character too, I'm assuming. But
Yeah.
I wanna I wanna talk about that Eradicator real quick that you mentioned. For one, if you really look at the Eradicator device in the movie, because he's, like, carrying it around and stuff and slinging it around, and you see every angle of it. You never see some, like, input or aux connection or anything. So I was trying to think, when you see at the end and you see them all on top of each other, you don't see any cables or anything. So it's like, how are they all connected together? The science makes sense, right? Because these devices are releasing like a low type pitch frequency that interrupts the chip in the kids' heads. So that science part makes sense. Obviously dogs hear certain whistles that we can't hear. Um,
Yeah.
but what it was funny because it's like it was kind of like when what was the movie with the two women when they drive off the cliff? Um, you know what
Oh,
I'm talking about?
Thelma and Louise?
Yeah, it felt very Thelma and Louise where, he knew he was, like, done for, And then these kids all so happened, all like 20 of them jumped on the truck at the same time. There was not a single one not on the truck. And it's just he just drives off the cliff like that and just takes him with him. There's no explosion, there's no nothing. Which is kind of like I get it falls in the water, but still, like nobody like that's it, you know. I thought the ending could have been a little bit better. But it was what it was. Um, Man, I like that Nick Stahl's character survives and he does come in like Dangerous Mind style, like you mentioned. And it's
Yeah,
just that very suspicious. I hated the one thing I hated about the movie. I want to bring it up is the whole red thing in the eyeball. Like that to me made absolute no sense whatsoever. And I mean, there's no
yeah,
scientific way that would happen unless it's a fake electronic eyeball, especially where they implanted the chip, which was on the brain. So it's like, why is there a freaking light flash? I know they did it to kind of explain to people what was going on, but they could have just really dilated the pupil. Like they could have done some cool pupil dilation, and then we
yeah,
would have known instead of like the freaking like camcorder light.
yeah.
But I'm happy with the ending, man. I like the way they left that mysterious thing where it's like it leaves it to the imagination. It's like, what's gonna happen? Is he gonna hunt them down? Is he gonna continue on? Is the shadowy figures recruited him? Like, what happened? Um, so yeah, long story long, I liked it. But dude, I
Yeah,
wanted to
I
ask
mean,
you. No, go ahead.
yeah, no, go ahead, go ahead.
No, no, no. I think I rambled off a little bit there.
No, no, no. I was just agreeing with you because yeah, that's just it almost feels like that was there just for especially that one scene where James Marsden's Steve character sees the thing in someone's eye. He's like, "Oh, what is that?" Like, so just for him and that one scene and then for the audience to kind of be like, "Oh, this is what how we," but you already know how they are without having that red thing just because of the way they're dressed. They're part of the Blue Ribbons, the
Yeah,
way they act when they get violent, so that's just a little ad there that you're right. I thought was completely useless and looks.
yeah. That was definitely 90s cheesy for sure. I think to me that was more cheesier than the razor comment that Kitty Holmes had to constantly say.
Oh
Um,
yeah, Razor.
but do you think that the concept for this film would still work in this modern age? Because I know obviously with a lot of the sensitive subjects in this film, there's stuff that's still happening today and if not even worse. But what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. All right. I think you could remake this movie. I think it would work. You don't have to do a remake a shot by shot. You can just kind of make it your own, but
Yeah.
have like a similar concept, inspired by more than remake, for sure. I think it could work. This is a movie that I mean it has already little touches of other movies from the think you can just add some of the stuff that you liked, leave out the stuff you don't, and kind of make a spiritual sequel of anything too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you can definitely pull it off nowadays, and maybe who knows, and it also bring a new audience to this one. So for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, man. I mean, they could definitely. I felt like if they ever did this one, man, the cast would have to be really dialed in, and none of that
Mhm.
like TikTok or influencer crap that they did with I know what you did last summer. Because I feel like that's what they're doing this day and age. They're just kind of and they really they have admitted it. You know, they're going based on how many followers you have. It's no longer based on skill. It's more of how many people you could attract into the seats. And that kind of sucks because it takes away from the actual experience of the film and the messages behind it. Now, do
Yeah.
you with this movie, was there any actors in this film or any characters that you felt like, we talked about it in Weapons, how there were certain actors did a phenomenal job, but they didn't quite have to be in the film. How do you feel about that in this movie, Disturbing Behavior? Is there anybody that you were like, we didn't really need that character, or I could see somebody else playing that character?
No, this not for this movie because there's already the little bit of characters we do got. Some of them are not developed enough, so it's the other way around. I think
Okay.
you got an 83-minute movie, so there's not too much time. Yeah, so you can maybe even put another spin on that and say, well, even more reason to have less characters, so you can kind of flesh out the ones you do have. But I just don't think anybody out here was, well, I mean, we got a little bit of a backstory of why the doctor does it. You know, he has a daughter that's in an insane asylum. We have a little scene where they go see her.
Yeah.
Could that be cut to add more to other stuff? Maybe, because it's not really necessary. He could just be a doctor that does that, does it for the money, does it for the, wanting to push things forward to make money and all that stuff. But I don't necessarily mind having that scene in there. So if I was, I guess, to pick one, it would be just that scene. But I'm fine with it being there, and nah, I wouldn't cut anything. If anything, like I said, just add to it, add some of the deleted scenes, and
Yeah.
add more to these characters.
Yeah. No, and I mean that's something like I agree. Like there was a lot of character development that they could have happened. I think every actor did a phenomenal job. I could have not seen anybody else playing any of the characters. I feel like this movie doesn't need to be remade at all. I think it still holds the test of time. Obviously, besides certain cheesy things, as far as for societal type stuff, it still holds up pretty well. There's still a lot of that stuff in the movie going on today. Not probably even worse. Um, but we do
Mhm,
got some recommendations for you guys coming up shortly. But before we go into that, we're going to take a minute to talk about some fun facts, behind the scenes details, which we've already been doing for the movie. We've already talked about deleted scenes, alternative
mhm.
endings. Now we did talk about studio interferences. Let's talk about the soundtrack, man. Like, what were your thoughts on that?
Oh, I love the soundtrack. No, yeah, it's. I actually wouldn't mind finding this soundtrack and on CD or something, and owning it. It's got some great tracks from the '90s, late '90s, mid '90s. Obviously, I mentioned Fly Proceda" by Harvey Danger. That was a big one hit wonder. It wasn't like this band went on to do a lot of things, or at least I didn't follow them. But I've always liked that song a lot, and
Yeah,
there's a couple other songs in there that are they were very popular at the time. I didn't write them down. I only wrote that one because it was like the biggest one. Even
yeah.
though they edited the crap out of the song in the movie, it didn't make too much sense. But yeah, this soundtrack is a lot of fun if you're into these the '90s rock, and there's a little bit of other stuff in there too. Then I think you'll enjoy it. I know you liked it, right?
Dude, I loved it, man. It definitely had some garbage in there, and it's a artist,
Oh yeah,
not me saying garbage, because the I think the soundtrack was pure 90s teen horror gold. Like it was just fantastic. You have the flies in there as well. So I think it really gave it that extra like cult type status. Another movie that this one reminded me of was the soundtrack was the movie Brain Scan with Edward Furlong, and again, it has those grungy style like rock type bands in there that just really, man, it just really tested the test of time. Sorry guys, I'm freaking not talking too great today,
oh
but
yeah, and the whole thing with Garbage, the band is you see the posters in Rachel's room. I noticed she had a few Garbage posters in there too.
yeah, it was funny. I was looking in her room when Martin's character goes to her, Katie Holmes' like trailer park, and you see her room is like a mix of like grunge, but then you have like SAT books, and then you have like little stickers on the wall, and
Yeah,
it showed the transition between her once being like very innocent and then transitioning to kind of that moody, I
rebellious.
don't care about society, rebellious. And it's funny because you never find out about her parents. You never see them in the movie. So you just see her living in this trailer by herself and with that old beat up truck, but that's it. There's no parents, no siblings, no nothing. Like she just almost came out of thin air. But I mean, yeah, back to that music, man. I want to find that soundtrack. I'm gonna look for it probably after the podcast. I'm actually gonna look into it more because that's another one I would love to have and just kind of jam out to.
Yeah, for
Wonder if
sure.
there's even a vinyl for it. I know a lot of these modern companies now they're doing vinyl soundtracks for all these older movies. So like Waxworks, I think they do that a lot.
They do, they do. Bring us the '92 Candyman, please.
Yes, I think they might have. If it's not them, it's maybe Mondo, the other company. I think they might have the Candyman. I'll look it up and I'll send you the link for it.
Yeah, I gotta check for that. That's one of my favorite horror
Yeah.
scores of all time. So I love it.
Dude, one thing too I found, moving on from the music itself,
Mhm.
that I was mentioning, kind of joking around, calling it like a Stepford Wives type film, and then looking into it, it really has the comparison. The concept was inspired by the Stepford Wives, but they made it more for like '90s teens and like the sci-fi paranoia type high school drama. But that's where the inspiration came from this film, which I didn't know at the time.
That makes sense. Yeah, it's there for sure.
Yeah, man. But we did cover a lot as far as for like the deleted scenes. We do know that Katie Holmes, like, it was pretty much her breakout role. This is one
Hmm.
of her first big roles. And then it was filmed right after Dawson's Creek, making her like the teen star that she became. I never saw Dawson's Creek, so I think for me, her character was a lot more believable. Because I know you mentioned it earlier. It's like seeing her in like all innocent. I think her name's Joey in Dawson's Creek, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
I think so.
Um,
Yeah, I
yeah,
watched the first few seasons. Having an older sister, we watched it maybe the first three seasons, and after that I stopped. But yeah, I always knew her from Dawson's Creek, so this
mm,
one was a little different for her.
yeah, man. Well, so yeah, while disturbing behavior might feel rushed at times, you can really see the outline of the bigger, darker movie that could have been.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those 90s films where the deleted scenes are almost as famous as the stuff that actually is and made it to the screen.
Yeah, I mean, until this day, I still have my fingers crossed of hopefully one day we get maybe some director's cut, some re-release or something. It's a movie that deserves a ton of love. I mean, again, great cast, music top notch. It's very, I mean, a lot of it too. It feels like it's shot at night. Like, it's very
Yeah.
moody, and it's just, even there's a saying, and I just wanna bring this up. This is totally random because I just remembered. Nick Stahl's character, when he's at the yogurt shop or shoppy, and he makes that
Shoppy.
comment. Dude, I've done that before. I've gone to the vitamin shop, and I've looked at my girlfriend, I'm like, "Is it shop? Is it shoppy?" I never understood which one it was, and when he said that line in the movie, I freaking almost lost it. I was like, "Dude, he's a kindred spirit. He understands my pain. I never understand what the hell it means." Um, but random thought, intrusive thought. I just wanted to
Oh,
throw
funny
that one
scene,
out
man.
there.
I love he's like being like, why are these guys even with the shopping part, but also like, why gonna go to the yogurt shop? Like, who goes to hang out at a yogurt shop?
Yeah, and he looks at Marsden's character when he's sitting in the back of the pickup truck, and he's just kind of laughing. And he looks at him. He's like, "Oh, you want to jump in on this one, or should I take it from here?" He's like making fun of
Yeah,
that jock. Um, Yeah, man, that was a good one. But dude, let's go through some movie recommendations. We have quite a few. If you want, throw a few out there. I'll throw a few myself. But yeah, let's go
sure.
through the list.
Well, I think the two biggest ones, the you just mentioned the Stepford Wives, and
Yeah,
I think I always thought of Invasion of the Body Snatchers, which I think that one was more influential to the faculty than to this one, but it has some stuff in there, and it also has a little bit of, yeah, I can see how it has urban legend vibes to it too.
yeah.
From another 1998 movie. I mean, 98 was a good year for horror, man. I don't know what people are talking about.
Dude, I swear, man. Dude, I think those people are maybe not watching enough movies or something, or maybe they're just not into horror because that was a pretty good year for horror. I mean, especially late 90s. I
Yeah.
know, and another one too, which we got in 99 is Idle Hands, teen horror comedy with a 90s vibe. I mean, that one's
Mhm.
another one that I absolutely love that we definitely have to do an episode on.
Coming
Um,
soon.
it's coming soon. And Stepford Wives, the one you mentioned, I never saw the 1975 one. I saw the 2004. But
Yeah,
that one's
same.
obviously influenced suburban perfection, hide sinister control. I mean, right on the dot. Invasion of body snatchers, paranoia with being replaced. I mean, that's kind of what this is as well. It makes sense. I didn't think about that one. But you're right on the money with it as far as for like, especially Nick Stahl's character. He's always paranoid of being next and getting replaced and all that stuff. Um, and then you mentioned the faculty, 98 as well. High school students versus sinister forces, literally, obviously, besides the aliens. I mean, if you remove the aliens, I think it would have been a very similar situation. It would have been kind of Divergence versus Hunger Games type situation where it's like they're both kind of almost the same type story, but only one could be the true one. And in this case, obviously the faculty kind of takes over. But and then Urban Legends, and there's one more on there. I know you're a massive fan of this one, so you want to let the people know about this recommendation.
What, Scream?
Yeah,
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it is the definitive 90s teen horror movie for sure. I mean, it brought slashers back. I love the Scream movies. There isn't one that I don't like. I mean, there's a couple of ones that are not as good, but yeah, I think yeah, I mean, Scream started this whole thing in the '90s with teen movies, man, I'm glad too because it brought us a lot of people say, "Oh, the clones of Scream," and yeah, sure, I understand that, but a lot of them were a ton of fun, and I loved it
Yeah.
and gave opportunity to a lot of actors that would go on to do bigger and better things. So, for sure, there's Scream is in there as a recommendation.
Yeah, I think Scream, it's one of those. I mean, if you're into psychological type thrillers, a very light horror or very social commentary type movies, and disturbing behavior is one of them to get into for sure. I mean, to me, it's a gem. It's always going to be a gem. I mean, it reminds me of high school times. I remember seeing it with a friend or with friends, and it was just such a great time. And then the ones we brought up, The Faculty, Scream, Stepford Wives, Idle Hands, Urban Legends, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, all fantastic. My personal picks out of those, I think, obviously, we said start with The Faculty, right? And then do Scream, and then finish it off with Idle Hands, or The Faculty, Scream, Urban Legends to really turn it back up, and then finish it off with Idle Hands to kind of get that humor. And, I mean, I think that's a great start. But what about for you? Out of all of those, which ones would you pick the most? And like, how would you list them?
I would actually start it with Invasion of the Body Snatchers from 1978. I think that one has really great performances. Donald Sutherland's really good in that, and
Yeah.
it's a slower burn, so you can kind of start a little bit slower and then move your way towards the Faculty for a little more 90s fun, and then kind of just finish it off with Scream. So you can be happy that you saw the best one out of all of
There
them.
we go. Yeah, that's true. Yes, finish it off on a high. The only problem with that is just that you finish it off on a high like that. I mean, you're gonna want more. So, you
Watch
know,
Scream 2. I love Scream 2.
there we go. That's true. There's quite a few Scream movies, guys. So I mean, if you're
Oh
new
yeah.
to Scream, or if you're not new to it but you weren't aware, there's quite a few more now. But I do want to take a quick moment, right? And I want to jump in on our sponsors for these podcasts, for the videos, especially for my channel for Face the Movies. This episode is brought to you by Valoria Video. If you love physical media, you love Blu-rays, you love 4Ks, you even like apparel, because I just found out they have cool T-shirts, hats, and all that cool stuff. Make sure to check out Valoria Video. Now, for our listeners, you get 10% off your next purchase. Use code Face the Movies 10. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, if you're spending, I know the Nightmare on Elm Street box set is out. It's coming out on the 29th and 30th of September for people that pre-ordered it. If you go to Amazon, you can't find it on there, or to a few other shops and it's sold out. Valoria Video just got a few of them. I think they got like 10. They're probably planning on getting a few more. They're trying to see how that goes, but they do have it on there. So let's say it's 160, 170 bucks. You use this code, you're probably going to save about like 30, 40 bucks. And that's a lot. That's a good amount. Plus you'll get free shipping. It's over 75 bucks. So make sure to check them out. Support small businesses. Let's keep physical media alive. I just want to do a quick little sponsor thing for you guys. Again, Face the Movies 10. And yeah, let us know in the comments if you do end up doing it, and hopefully you guys are able to save some money, find some good stuff. But Lee, is there anything that you wanted to add on here, man? As far as for the movie, anything you want to talk about that we
No,
might
I
have
think
missed?
I think we went pretty deep. We covered a lot when we got to cover not only just the whole movie, but the deleted scenes and everything, and all the actors. So I think you got a nice little podcast to go with your viewing experience for this movie. I mean, I think it'll be a lot of fun for you to watch it and then come right into the podcast and just kind of make sure you leave comments and discuss it with us. But yeah, I think we covered it pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, guys, we try to not just obviously regurgitate. I mean, I'm sure I haven't seen any podcast episodes or online videos talking about disturbing behavior like that. Again, it's a kind of lost gem there, but we try to dive deep. As you know, you've listened to a few episodes already. If you've been with us for a bit, we don't just tell you about certain deleted scenes or certain thoughts, but we really try to analyze it. Our crazy little conspiracy theories here and there, especially on my part. I'm like over here, or sometimes way reading over the lines. But with that being said, guys, that's it for the look at Disturbing Behavior, a movie that proves that the scariest monsters might be hidden in plain sight in your high school hallways or college hallways. Who knows?
Yeah, we want to know what you think. Is this an underrated '90s horror movie or just another product of its era?
Yeah, so don't forget to check out my channel, Face the Movies, and Lee's channel, Cinema Whiplash, for more movie talk. Guys, make sure to go ahead and subscribe, like, comment, all the good stuff. You could also find us on Instagram. Same thing, Face the Movies for me, Cinema Whiplash for Lee. It really keeps things going for us. That's the best way to support us is to subscribe, to interact with us, comment, let us know what other movies you want us to cover. Also, like I mentioned, use if we provide any discount codes, go ahead and use them. It definitely helps us out a lot as well, and obviously trying to help you guys save a few bucks.
Yeah, and as always, thank you for spending your Friday night with us here at Friday Night Fright Night.
Guys, until next time, keep your lights low, the volume high, and beware of the blue ribbons. We'll see you on the next one, guys.
See you next